Hi everyone. So that actually was a very interesting trip. We ended up with a lot of different things. Not just tractors, a little bit of everything on that trip. Just like the one before that. You should go check that out if you haven't. So here's the first one. We ended up with this white MTD, and it should be a 12 horsepower in here because of it being a 1238 series. And it is a nice little Briggs Intech, and as it sits you can actually rotate it a little bit, but it sounds as if the deck is rotating with it. So that'll be one of the first things to do, is undo the deck from it and then see if this will free run. Now what's nice about this Intech is it's one of the ones with the newer style carb, which means you can still get the carbs really nice and cheap and easy. So we'll see what we can do with that. This is what they refer to as a very drive system, and these can either be really nice to work on or absolute hell. In underneath here there is a composite pulley that goes in and out, and if it's rusted solid, they're horrible and just not worth dealing with. You're better off buying a new one. So from there we ended up with this. Now I'm not really sure what to say about this, because this actually turns a little bit, but yet again the deck is seized up right now. It's in pretty good condition. It is a 42-inch cut, but just like this one here, it is also a very drive F&R system. It's a Yardman made by MTD, and I actually have a hood that will fit this over in the pile. It would have to be repainted green, but you know, it is what it is. And it's got a 20 horse on it that we will see what we can do with. Maybe I will decide to hold on to this one for a personal project. You know, personal project sitting over there. But who knows? Now we ended up with some bonuses. John, would you like to show them your bonuses he gave you?
Yep.
Okay, let's go see. What did you get for bonuses? And then I'll show him mine. Well, actually, I'll show you this one right now. We got 5 pieces of 16-foot thick rebar. I mean, here's my thumb. So it's the high grade stuff. Just exactly what you want if you're going to be practicing knife making. I mean, it's full length. There it is over there, all the way to over here. All right, John, what did you get?
Got a buoy, got 2 nails.
You got a buoy, 2 nails.
Got an old-time saw.
An older saw.
Handsaw.
Yep.
And I also got this rope.
Oh, you got a piece of rope.
And I also had the spike type thing, and
That's a pretty cool saw, John. I bet we can probably clean that up and use it. Yeah. What are you going to use the buoy for?
Half of this was going to be used for boat.
For a boat?
Yes. This is the anchor.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
It's the anchor rope.
Oh, the anchor rope. Oh, okay. So I ended up with this. This guy let me grab this out of this metal bin that he had. It's a Badlands winch from Harbor Freight. And I really didn't care about the winch. I'm fully expecting this to be a dead waste of space. But the roller fair lead is still good. But what's even more impressive is this. It's actually a fully welded aluminum mount. I don't think I've ever seen one like this. And I thought that was really nifty and neat. I'm assuming it was made for something else and got repurposed for this, because these look kind of weirdly out of place. But I thought that was really cool. And I'm betting that I probably can take this nice winch mount here and I can probably bolt it right there. What do you guys think? Do we need a winch on this?
Yes.
And we ended up with this. So we ended up with this. It's an Aries, as you can see up here. It's got a 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton, I believe. Yep, 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton. And it seems to turn over, as you can hear. So it's got compression, so we're going to tear into it and see whether we can get that up and running, because it's rototiller season here in Maine, so if it runs, we can make a few bucks. Alright, was that a fun hunt?
Yes, smash that like button. Why do you want a winch on that trailer?
Oh, we also ended up with this. The guy said take anything metal that you don't want, he just wanted it gone. It's an old school raccoon have a heart trap. So we're gonna see if we can rebuild that later on in the season. They're worth 20, 30 bucks to the right person. So that's a nice little find. It should fix up nice and easy. Probably just have to replace the little flip piece, and I can make one of those out of a piece of steel pretty simply.
This is why freeze on.
Good job. Alright, so we saw it flying. Let's see what's under it, shall we? Wow.
That's what's left.
That's what's left of what came flying out, actually. I ended up pulling some chunks as I was trying to get to the flywheel. Well, what's interesting is this thing actually will drive and engage. We need to go and work on the deck a little bit and see if we can get that up and running. And I'm gonna have to try and find some other tires because these ones are just really too shot. But it should be able to sell for around 250 bucks once it's done. You know, from time to time you run into some interesting stuff in mower decks. I mean, bunged up like this on a spindle is not that uncommon. But what in the world is this thing? It's the new sweeper edition. Keeps it clean while rotating. I don't know. Alright, so let's grab our light here and let's take a look. In underneath here, it's got a double belt system because this is their upgraded version of the MTD. And it works pretty decently. It's more like a John Deere type setup. But that belt is absolutely rotted out. We're going to be replacing that. If you're curious, I'll post what the part number is for that. But one thing to note here is where the double pulley is. The double pulley on this one is back here. If you have the double pulley that's up here, it is a different belt size and a different belt number. So keep that in mind. Also in underneath, we're going to order up some blades to put on. These ones are pretty well shot. They've been dug in once or twice. Not exactly the best. So we'll set them aside for some time when we build a forge and we can bang on some steel. The deck itself looks pretty good. I'll probably end up cleaning it off and putting a quick coat of Rust-Oleum on it just to preserve it a bit better. But otherwise than that, it looks pretty good in there. So it runs, it drives, it'll kick over the deck. But they're not allowed to keep this motor. This motor is going with me in order to go in something else. I wonder what that could be that it's going to go into. We'll see. So let's talk the reality check of building used lawn tractors, and this is basically it. Every once in a while you're gonna get some pile of junk and you're just gonna have to throw something together to make a few dollars out of it. And that's what these MTDs usually end up turning into for me. So what I do is I buy these by the group and I tend to just set them aside until I got like 3 or 4 of them, and then I throw together these junky little $250 machines. And the one thing that I do is I advertise them outright as ugly. They're ugly, but I show that they have sharpened blades. I show that they have a nice belt underneath, and I go through and I make sure that the motor is running top notch, brand spanking new air filter, brand spanking new fuel filter, and I clean the carburetor up, and I make it blatantly obvious that it's been cleaned up. And that is what sells these. If you don't take the time to do that, they just sit and they rot forever and you don't make any money. So that's where this one will go. Now the other one that I bought with it, this was the $50 investment. Now this one, on the other hand, it actually does run. This Intech, this 20 V-twin, it runs really good. So what we're going to end up doing is, if you remember from a previous video, I'll post up a picture here, we bought a Craftsman. And that Craftsman had a motor in it, but the transmission in the rear of that thing is definitely on its way out. So we're going to drop that motor into this because the motor runs good, but the transmission is debating life. So as it sits, we should be able to get this one up and running. I have a hood that I should be able to put onto this in order to use. And all said and total and done, I'll probably end up trying to retail it for around the same $300 mark. It's got a good seat, really good tires on the front and on the rear. The condition of the paint is all something that'll buff up and look halfway decent. And if I can find a green hood that relatively matches to it, even if it's not quite the right thing, it'll probably retail in the $350 to $400 range, easy enough. So thank you for following me on my tractor hunts and supporting the channel. It makes a big difference. My family is supported by you guys sharing these videos and subscribing. So please do if you're new to the channel. Have a good day.